All right, moving on. Hidden danger of accepting social norms. We watched some of this a while back, and I wanted to watch the rest of it, or at least some of the rest of it. So the first part of this, you can see the recap, kind of who is Cristiano Ronaldo. Worst. This is the worst walkout song. They were talking about walkout songs, yeah. Beckham versus Pitt. Do trends in the East always? There was a whole thing about norms that was interesting too, like what is normal in certain scenarios. All right, let's go with here. All right.
Yeah, it's interesting how often that is the case, where you'll have these acts of great heroism that don't have 100% success rate, and then the individual spends so much time looping on that.
Yeah, that's survivor guilt, I suppose, right?
I've known some people who've done some incredible things, like in the police or firework, for example, and it's the same thing. They don't ruminate on the heroism. It's the
mistakes that they made. Yeah, the people they could have saved. I wonder what that's for. I guess that adaptively, it's trying to get you to focus on, this is something pro-social that you could have done if you'd been more prepared, more skillful. Therefore, in future, you need to adapt your approach so that this doesn't happen.
I still don't know why they're wearing costumes. I don't know if I watched the whole way through this. I don't think I watched the whole way through this on stream. I think I stopped somewhere, but yeah. He's wearing a cartoon burglar, and the other guy's wearing some sort of Romanesque thing. Don't know why.
Again, maybe that's the reason for survivor guilt. Actually, Jared, just type it in ChatGPT. What is the reason? What is the adaptive reason for survivor guilt? Or adaptive explanation for survivor guilt? Because the only thing that I can think of is that it's supposed to try and guide your future behavior, so that, well, I mean, fucking Bluetooth came up as a 1,000-year-old Norse god or something like that. So, fuck knows if we're going to find out. What is the adaptive explanation? From an evolutionary or adaptive perspective, survivor guilt can be understood as a byproduct of mechanisms that help humans maintain social bonds, cooperation, and group cohesion. Okay, so my hypothesis is looking good so far. Basic idea is that in ancestral environments, humans survive and reproduce largely through belonging to a group.
Is this AI? I don't know if I trust AI, especially when it comes to anything wherein there's a significant amount of disagreement.
Person benefited while others suffered. There are often social consequences, so the inverse of that. Okay. Maintaining group cohesion. If you survive a dangerous event while close allies did not, feeling distress rather than indifference signals. Oh, that's cool. So, because...
Do you ever feel that sometimes people try to overcomplicate stuff? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
If something bad happens and you were one of the few that survived...
I don't know. Like, maybe it's worthwhile to study these types of things. It is kind of interesting the way, like, you can fiddle with genetics to like, select for certain behaviors. I think I've talked about this before, but there were people in Russia who created domesticated foxes, and I think the idea was they literally just took a batch of foxes and they killed off all of the ones who would bite people, who acted aggressive, and in several generations they had basically tame foxes. It's kind of interesting.
If you show that you feel distress as opposed to indifference, it reinforces to everybody else that you weren't selfish and an asshole, that you actually regret the fact that they died and that you didn't. I'm still a part of the group. I didn't take...
It's funny, because I've also heard, like, a different type of thing where there would always be, like, a village psychopath, the type of person who would go out and kill the people who needed to be killed, or do, like, really terrible stuff for everyone else. And it's kind of an interesting type of notion, too.
Take it all for myself. I didn't just swim out the back of the bus myself. I really did try. Reciprocal altruism and fairness mechanisms. They've got strong intuitions. So when we receive an unexpected benefit relative to others, even when we did nothing wrong, our minds may interpret the situation as a violation of fairness expectations. Survivor guilt may arise from the same psychological machinery that makes people pretty uncomfortable receiving disproportionate rewards. Okay. Motivation to help survivors. Yeah. Okay. So it encourages caring for bereaved families, supporting injured group members. Counteract, costly signal of commitment as well. Grief and function, you can't fake it. That's an interesting one. So that's the reason. Why would it be the case that when you're sad or distressed or overwhelmed with negative emotion, that the same thing your eyes do to make sure that your eyes stay lubricated would go into overdrive. Like, why do we cry? Like, what's the reason for crying?
Well, that's kind of an interesting notion because generally speaking, it's in scenarios where sadness is involved, not hatred. Because you would imagine in cases where you were angry or afraid, like the notion of, well, maybe fear in certain scenarios, at least if there's a sense of impotence involved, perhaps. But like, generally speaking, if you're in a scenario where you can actually do something, or if you're angry or something like that, there wouldn't be really that urge to cry. So, I don't know. Maybe it's different in different people too.
And one of the adaptive explanations for this, which is pretty fascinating, is it's such a costly signal to do because the most important sense you have is your eyes. And if you're prepared to fill them with water to say how much I've been hurt, or how much I'm suffering, you're in an unbelievably vulnerable position. You can't fight, you can't see, you can't defend yourself. Tears are coming out and you can't fully operate. This is how much I'm in pain. I'm in so much pain that I'm essentially exposing my neck to you.
So how do you then factor in tears of joy? Why do we cry out of joy?
I did ask this question. So it could be a spandrel, which is just a crossover between the two, but it could just be the same thing. It could be a very costly signal. Hey, look.
Spandrel. I need to use that one. So I've heard the term spanner, but I think that might be, I'm assuming that might be a different thing. I think a spanner is just like a wrench or something.
At how much I love this thing that's happening. I am here, collective effervescence, me and the group, we are one. I experience this thing with you too. And I do think when it comes to sort of emotions, sadness, like peak joy, joyful experiences, beautiful experiences, and sad or sort of dreadful experiences, they kind of have this same, like, part of the pitch of the chord that they play is kind of similar, right? It's like an outside of the body. At least when I experience stuff that's like really intense, whether it's good or bad, I always feel it sort of across the top of my shoulders, my traps, and like sort of everything feels like it lifts up a little bit. If I'm being delivered bad news by somebody, or if there's something that's really beautiful happening, it always feels like I'm sort of being lifted a bit. So there seems to be
that's kind of an interesting. You can always the notion of like bad news, when you hear bad news, like that sensation is something that's kind of really prevalent to me. It's kind of like you're sinking, right? Your heart's sinking or something like that. The whole notion that sensation is kind of strange to, like, I think they go into this like they're talking about like all the different types of sensation you feel when whatever blank thing happens. It's intriguing type of like why and how does that exist?
similarities, resonance between those two.
There's two visuals, Jared, if you could pull them up. There's one of how emotion feels in the body. I don't know if you've seen this one where it's like all
heat
the
map.
Heat maps.
Yeah.
And there's
Heat
also
map of emotions.
Yeah, there's also the topography of tears, how different types of tears look under a microscope, and they're slightly different.
No way.
Is this
Constitution?
artist? Yeah, this artist produced it. Where so
Top left.
So here,
Anger, fear, disgust, happiness, surprise, neutral, anxiety, love, depression, contempt, pride, shame, envy. Interesting.
is how emotions at least feel in the body, which kind of makes sense.
But is that a map? Mapping emotion. So is that self-report?
I think this is more self-report of how it feels.
Okay,
I
so
haven't gone any deeper into it.
Anger seems pretty right. So anger's sort of above the upper chest, arms and hands a lot, lower face a lot, and head.
And if you start with neutral on the right, so you kind of see, okay, this is neutral,
Nothing.
and then you compare that to all the different ones.
Surprise is definitely a lot in the head. That's cool. Sadness is kind of in the middle of the chest. Happiness sort of everywhere. Disgust definitely in the stomach. So disgust and anxiety both in the stomach the most. That would make sense because disgust is a pathogen rejection. Fear, middle of the chest. I think that seems quite right. Interesting that happiness is basically just tuned down love. Depression's cool. That depression, it says here, it's just sort of a low energy state or on your extremities as opposed to anxiety. And I would agree with that. I think anxiety is much more active version of depression.
Go, sweet glory.
Contempt, like
Sorry, I'm just looking at the contempt one that is on. I hope that's something weird.
existing exclusively in the head
Mm.
is pretty cool. Pride, so the swelling in the chest makes sense. Shame, the cheeks, that's people get embarrassed. And envy, sort of little bit of head and some heart. That's actually, would you disagree with any of those?
I think it feels accurate as trying to be neutral right now. Could you search topography of tears, please, Jared? This was done by, I think, an artist.
Okay, so that is an
made
actual.
this.
It's not AI. It's an actual person, I think. Maybe I don't know if the one before was, because that looked like it was just a list of things that they were pumping into Grok or something.
Go to that video, that Instagram video. Let's just see what this lady's got to say. Third one. Click and open.
That your tears look different underneath a microscope depending on the emotion that you're experiencing. This project was called The Topography of Tears by Rosalind Fisher. She's a photographer, and what they did is they looked at tears underneath a microscope, and you will see that depending on...
I kind of like this one right here. Feels like I sometimes watch blacksmithing and stuff. Like they could do like a pretty cool Damascus pattern. Like I often thought it would be like awesome if you could create some sort of you know the pattern you get on windows when it's frosty, like a fractal type thing. I think that's actually like it would be a really interesting pattern to try and reproduce in some sort of Damascus form, if you could. I don't know if that is fractal the right term. I don't know, like that's what I'm thinking of, like that pattern you get on windows when it's frosty outside or whatever, and you get this kind of really beautiful leaf type thing going on.
What these participants were experiencing, their tears look different. This is tears of laughter versus tears of change, tears of grief versus tears from cutting onions.
Wow.
This is tears when someone...
Okay. Why do the cutting onions ones look the prettiest to me? That's annoying.
Someone is experiencing a moment of catharsis, whereas someone is experiencing a moment of change. I'm a therapist, and I often show this to my clients because I think it gives a really good demonstration that crying is actually really important at times to release certain things from our body. And being able to see that our tears actually look different depending on what we're experiencing.
Why does she have mushrooms on her dashboard? She better have kids. No, I don't know. Feels I don't know.
I think really demonstrates that really well.
Feels weird.
Did you know?
Insane.
That's cool. I want to know what the... Fuck, I just asked Jared, as ChatGPT, from the topography of tears study, what are the differences in the structure of tears, or why are they there? Because I want to know what is inside of the tear that's different. Is it more salt content? Is it like what? How much shit's in tears? Like, I guess maybe you could. I don't know. Is cortisol in the blood that leaks into the tears? But surely tears are kind of like sperm, produced in advance and then released. There are three main categories: basal.
Well, you actually have you do have tear ducts, and I'm assuming there's some sort of gland involved, right?
Tears constantly produced to lubricate the eyes. Reflex tears produced in response to irritants like onions, and emotional tears. Key biochemical difference, here we go, is that emotional tears contain...
Again, I don't know how much I trust ChatGPT or AI in general with regards to, especially stuff that's I think with regards to stuff where there's kind of a consensus on it, it can do really well. I generally still try to double check it, but I don't like the notion, especially when you have something that's maybe a little bit controversial or a little bit novel as a subject, because it feels like it'll just fill in the blanks with whatever the crap it wants. I don't know.
Contain higher concentrations of certain proteins and hormones, including prolactin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, stress-related hormone, leuenkephalin.
Basal tears. Tears, emotional tears. Prolactin.
A natural pain-relieving peptide, Differences in minerals such as potassium and manganese. When tear dries on a slide, these dissolved substances crystallize into different patterns. Wow, there isn't a simple one-to-one mapping of grief always looks like X and joy always looks like Y. The patterns vary considerably even within the same emotional category.
Interesting.
The amount of ratios of protein, salts, hormones, and other biochemicals. I didn't realize that you had.
So I wonder if some of that would depend just on your diet in general as well, not just the like whatever you're putting into your body would affect the structure of the whatever the crap.
That much. Obviously, you can cry for different reasons. If I start cutting an onion in front of you, or if you're in pain, or if you're feeling something, or if you're just lubricating your eyes.
Testosterone tears as well.
What's
The
that?
higher T that you have, the completely different.
That's Greg
makeup of
Levesque,
you. That's what.
isn't
Yeah.
Greg Levesque's tears from Bloom are actually a protein shake.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, Greg Levesque has got 2,000 nanograms per deciliter of testosterone.
I'm assuming that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, Greg's tears.
I suppose that's actually in this bag. It's not money. It's just Greg's next testosterone.
Yeah, you pull up Greg's tears, they're just fucking
Yeah,
draining.
exactly. They've vascular tears. Yeah. It's the emotions thing's been interesting. Trying to navigate this over the last 18 months or so. I still think kind of interested in what the conversation around men showing emotions is. Obviously, I've talked about it a lot. Like everyone's talked about it a lot. But one of the interesting wrinkles that I learned about was I don't think that men are particularly good at receiving other men's emotions. Like we often talk about guys need to open up more, look at all of the people that are taking their own lives, whatever it is, however many men per minute or men per day are doing this, you need to open up. But a lot of the time, if a guy does that on the internet, it's not just women that...
Well, to be fair, I think doing anything on the internet, maybe not the best of scenarios in which to express oneself, right? It feels like the reaction will be of an extremity, whether it's good or bad. It will rarely be a well-balanced reaction to that. I would either go to someone who knows what, like, if it's a mental issue, I would say go to someone who has some sort of expertise in what you're going through, or if it's, just go to your friends if it's something like maybe less serious. I don't know. Not online in my humble opinion.
Unaccommodating to a guy that's maybe crying or feeling bad or seeming a little weak. Like guys, I would guess on average are actually more discarding. Men are less accommodating of other men's sad emotions than women are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, these would be the same men that would say something to the effect of, wow, men's mental health's in a state like nobody really cares that much. You go, okay, so which one is it? Because if you're not prepared to hold your boy, like while he's going through a hard time.
That's true. Like, I think I'd be prepared to talk to someone about it. But as far as like someone crying, I would feel profoundly uncomfortable trying to comfort someone in that scenario. So I feel like, maybe get a wife or something. Or for that matter, just go to maybe women you trust. Because like, if you're needing to express emotion, I would say that would be maybe the best, whatever. Like, go to women you trust, or like someone you trust but aren't attracted to, presumably. And, express that in that scenario. Or if you're married, go to your wife or something like that. Otherwise, yeah. If you need to talk about something, I imagine you could just go to your friends or whatever and just, talk it through. Yeah.
Time, you don't also
Plus the psychologist if you need it.
really get to say, we need to talk about men's mental health more. You need to put your emotions where your mouth is, so to speak.
My natural thought, at least from my experience, is I don't expect friends to be these pure mixed martial artists that have everything across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if, let's say, for example, I want to break down in tears, there's certain people who I'd speak to. And then there's other friends where if I, want to pull it together,
Yeah.
I'll speak to them. So this, like having a little bit more of a decentralized on-chain friend base. I just think, I think expecting the person who helps you to pull it together to then also be the person that's perfect with your emotions, it's hard to have that.
That's a really good point.
I agree, but if it's the person who is saying we need to have better resources for men's mental health, but they're also not being accommodating that just seems like a kind of hypocrisy.
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people who say we need better, healthcare or something. That doesn't mean they're going to go become a doctor themselves. Like, it feels like there might be. You would maybe assume that everyone can handle people's emotions really well. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like, guys might have a harder time just expressing their emotions, much less helping other people with those same emotions. It's not. I don't know if it's necessarily something that everyone would excel in.
To me, and this is from Men Are Good, Tom Golden's thing, and it makes sense because what you basically have as a man, like, I think that it takes a lot of work for guys to get over their sort of visceral ick of other men's sad emotions. This is a price that's maybe not seen by women, or it's also hidden by men. But if there's a guy who's able to sit and hold, like Charlie Hooper, for instance, or Connor Beaton, or Joe Hudson, or Dr. K, these are people that are trained professionally to be able to do this, obviously. The fact that they can sit, they have had to get over a lot of their programming, because your programming as a man is, if I'm around another guy who doesn't seem to be able to hold it together emotionally, he's an unreliable ally. How do I know that when we go on our next hunt, or when the tribe from the next valley comes and tries to attack us, that he's actually going to be able to hold it together? How do I not know that he's going to break down in tears? This is the same reason. This is a spicy one. I need to put a second fucking pair of glasses on for this. William Costello taught me that most homophobia in men isn't homophobia, it's femophobia. So we're actually the
Intriguing notion.
the disgust mechanism that gets turned on, or the aversion that some men have to seeing gay men, isn't necessarily about the gayness. It's about the femininity that is being presented by a man. And that's the same mechanism that unreliable ally, if this guy doesn't seem to be showing the typical masculine sort of control, conquer, aggression.
See, that's kind of strange, because I imagine there's kind of a high variability when it comes to, like, a hyper flamboyantly gay person, as opposed to, like, on the other end of the spectrum, a person who has gay sex, and that's about it. In every other way, they are as masculine as can be. I'm not sure if there would be, like, different reactions to different types of gay men as well. I don't know.
Toes forward energy that I expect from other guys. What happens when there is some sort of altercation or issue in future that we need to step in on? So yeah, femophobia, homophobia is, like, kind of interesting.
I immediately think of who's the most masculine gay man in
Who's
the
the
world,
most masculine gay
who
man
then
you know?
breaks that, who creates a paradox.
Tell me, who's the most masculine gay man that you know?
I don't know. I'm usually multiple drinks deep at the time.
That is a fucking great question.
Luke Evans, actor. That's what I was thinking of. Like, the person who's, like, gay, but you really wouldn't tell it. I don't know actually. That's the person that came to mind, though. I think Douglas Murray. Oh, give me a second here. Is this gonna go?
A lot of the tech bro people, I'm
No, I was thinking. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I think Douglas Murray is. I think he's mentioned at one point he's considered an honorary straight person because he's conservative or something like that. So maybe Douglas Murray. He actually, like, I think he was great friends with Roger Scruton, which I didn't, like, listen to a lot of Roger Scruton stuff, but he kind of, like, Douglas Murray kind of has the same air about him. A little bit. Yeah, Douglas Murray, final decision.
Would you look at Peter Thiel and guess gay? I don't think I'd look at him and guess gay.
He was.
He just looks strange, honestly. Do you know, actually, probably the person I would probably guess is that whatever the crazy person. I don't think he is actually gay, but he's, like, trying to live forever or whatever the crap. Some sort of transhumanist bullshit. I think he started some company, and now he just, like, he gets blood injections from his son. That guy, I would guess he was into some weird stuff. Like, apparently he's not gay. He has a son, and I think he's married, or I assume he's married. But he is a strange individual.
He was in the closet for a long time until Gorka.
Yeah, with the Hulk Hogan thing.
Mhm.
By the way, if you need a new listen on Audible of a very old, relatively old book, Ryan Holiday's book, Conspiracy, guy that's written a lot about Stoicism. Books on Stoicism are good. This one's his best one by a distance. So fucking good. You tell me you've read it.
A while ago.
It's fucking amazing. It's so fantastic.
What's the plot? It's around Hulk Hogan.
So Peter Thiel gets ousted by Gorka. I think it's Gorka's subsidiary company. I can't remember what it's called. That was reporting on Silicon Valley, and I swear the headline was something like "Peter Thiel's gay as shit, people." And at this point, he still wasn't out about the fact that he is, and he held on to this for maybe 5 or 6 years, and he's building this case behind the scenes, and he recruits this guy called Mr. A. Mr. A was this operator that came to him who was just going to be able, like a legal expert, Machiavellian conniving sort of guy, and they start to look for ways to take down this company. And then the Hulk Hogan sex tape happens, and during the trial for the Hulk Hogan sex tape, it turns out that Terry Bolleo, Hulk Hogan's just got like infinity money. He's got the best lawyers. He just can drive this thing into the ground to keep on taking Gorka down. It turns out that Peter Thiel uses the Hulk Hogan sex tape as a way to get back at the organization and reporters that ousted him as gay. Like, nearly 10 years ago by the time that this thing happens. And the revenge is a dish best served cold. Is no better epitomized by any other story than that. Like a decade of just sitting on it and seething and having, this huge secret that you've kept as a very public person who's early into Facebook and supporting like conservative candidates. And yeah,
it's widely discussed, the evil nature of social media.
Yeah. Peter Thiel is kind of an interesting character because, like, I don't know, I didn't know he was like supporting conservative candidates, but man, like, do you guys ever hear of Palantir and that whole thing? It's a little bit unsettling, all the stuff that goes into whatever that stuff. I don't know. I guess I can't say I'm necessarily a fan of Peter Thiel, and it's not necessarily a gay thing, but he's got some weird stuff.
Yeah, or the ills of social media that exist today. A lot of people hark back to this previous long gone era.
Where you're from.
But where I am from. No, not quite there just yet. But the thing people forget about the golden era that they're harking back to is the shit. We always forget the shit. And even the journalist standards that used to exist, the amount of journalists, particularly British press, that would pay people to sleep with people, then report the stories. This was
wow, that is kind of a nasty, that's dirty pool.
Regular thing in journalism in the UK. Even numerous football players, athletes, they'd have to be constantly wary of, does this person actually like me? Or has a well-known British publication who I
feel like stuff like that I would be almost certain stuff like that still probably happens a little bit. It might just be a little bit more well covered. And I guess I imagine when stuff like that happens, people might just get thrown to the wolves, or plausible deniability type thing.
Shan't name because they're still going. Is paying, or they may pay somebody to approach me. Is using it as a story. That was a thing. That was common. Like what they did to
honeypot type scenario.
Should be a crime.
And is that legal? Was that legal?
I don't know.
But guess what's the difference between a kiss and tell and pay, and a pay and kiss and tell? Like the order of the money is the only thing that's different here.
Yeah. But
and it feels like it would be, I guess, I don't know. Like you could probably assume that if a person gets paid, like I feel like they would be really hard to pin down though. Like exactly what was going on and why so and so did what to who, or
when the invoice
Yeah.
technically gets cleared. Always comes down to finance.
Yeah. Well, it depends if you've got a negative cash
Follow the money, so they say.
flow conversion cycle. Do you want to explain why you were so obsessed with Gymshark's negative cash flow conversion cycle?
No. First off, we've
Don't
got...
defend yourself.
No.
Stop defending yourself.
So for people who want to know what a cash flow conversion cycle is, which is approximately about 1% of people listening, I'll get through it fast. Essentially, a cash flow conversion cycle is when you get the money. So let's say, for example, Chris is running Newtonic. He'll pay a manufacturer to make this beautiful drink. Then he will obviously sell it to potentially supermarkets, big stores around the UK. There's a crunch period of, well, how much credit can I get with manufacturers, and then how much credit can I get with the supermarkets? Because if you have to pay your manufacturers today for stock that will arrive in 3 months, and then the supermarket doesn't pay you for 3 months, that's I think a positive cash flow conversion cycle. So a negative cash flow conversion cycle is when you get you almost have a delayed for the manufacturers, and then you can sell right away, which is a lot of what e-commerce companies do.
Mm-hmm. Trying to figure it out, I guess.
So I was once at a bar in Manchester talking to my friend about
Well, so you don't have to pay the manufacturers until you get the product. I don't know.
negative cash flow conversion
I'm assuming.
cycles, and we saw these
Just repelling any woman
saw
within
these-
a
well,
5
this is
meter
it.
radius.
No. We saw this group of girls like look over and like say hello, and I had a girlfriend at the time, so I wasn't going to do anything. But I just started laughing at the thought of, if only they could hear, they would be repulsed.
Well, we've done that. Was it?
So I'm assuming like a negative cash flow would be the good one, right? You would want to be able to pay the manufacturers as late as possible, like right before you got paid from the supermarket. I don't know.
It's Summer of Loud festival last year in the amphitheater, the Georgia amphitheater here in Austin, and we were backstage and we got all the cool passes, and there were all of these like cool metal chicks walking around, and then a couple came over and sat down next to us. What the fuck were we talking about? I swear it was something like this. There was some debate that we were having, and these girls sat down from a distance, and we had a couple of our kind of like super chatty mates with us. Keegan was with us, right? Who's essentially like proper Roman Adonis, not you, Lop.
The Chad's Chad.
Yeah, he's the Chad's Chad. And these women come over and obviously look, thinking, what are they going to be talking about? It's going to be so cool and sexy.
And we're back.
We all come from a conversion rate optimization background. And the blended NCPA of our Facebook ads manager could be doing with a little bit of improvement. Well, tell me how many you're split testing on the back end. It's interesting. I'm not sure if Opus 5.5 is actually going to be as good as people expect. And they just...
I was just remembering a scene from Corner Gas, Canadian sitcom, really good. I think I've mentioned this before. It has no laugh track, so that's a bonus. But there's just this one time when I think the girl had said something completely weird, and then the guy was like, "I have never been more attracted to you than I am right now." It's just like he kind of leans in and does that. The delivery was pretty good.
Slowly over time got this look of, it wasn't boredom, it was closer to disgust. It was like watching somebody desecrate a beautiful temple, because what they saw was this amazing potential in Keegan, this beautiful man, but the way that he was handling himself and what he was talking about.
I'm going to go on a limb and say there's a little bit of false modesty, but we'll leave it where it is.
The biggest takeaway I always get whenever I'm in a friend's birthday or a bachelor party, there'll be a moment where I'll just start chuckling to myself. Often it will be somebody might have a girlfriend, like one of the guys will have like a new relationship where she's been like really wary about him going to this birthday party or bachelor party. Meanwhile, it's me in a 1 hour debate at dinner talking about whether Ruud van Nistelrooy was a better footballer than Thierry Henry. Like, that's what they don't see.
Yeah.
Or like Gymshark's negative cash flow conversion cycle. Yeah. I think if a lot of guys' girlfriends or wives could see, they have this imagination that there's going to be all this chaos and these girls that are coming over and the strip club. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's usually a Google Sheet or Excel formulas.
It's us trying to track down that guy that bought the cigars and opened up the Strait of Hormuz by sneaking himself into the middle of Iran.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wonder if it might be inverse. It might be the fact that the guys that you don't think are getting up to naughty shit while they're away probably are,
Yes.
and the guys that you don't think are the guys that you think are getting up to it aren't.
That's like I tend to like on principle perhaps mistrust individuals who seem perfect because no one is, and that feels like it is the glitch. If a person seems perfect, okay, what are they getting up to? If a person is kind of out there with their flaws, with their idiosyncrasies, with their vices, perhaps more so, it's more like, okay, that's probably the worst of it. You've probably seen about as bad as they get. Like that seems to me maybe the kind of pattern that would unfold.
They're the ones that are talking about how they come from a conversion rate optimization background. Yeah, very, very important. By the way, if you're coming to the UK and Ireland tour later this year, I'm going to be bringing some of you up on stage to answer your questions. So if you've got a question or a story that you think would be worth me talking about, you can go to...
All right. You guys can go check out the rest of that if you like. Hidden Danger of Accepting Social Norms by by Chris Williamson with George Mack. All right. Moving on. We're going to